Hey everybody, my name is David Ruff and I'm coming to you today to go over this amazing excerpt, this video that was online on the Rich Dad Poor Dad channel. That Rich Dad Poor Dad channel almost had some of my greatest lineup ever. So I'm going to be watching it and just talking to you if I have anything to say. But this guy, Tom Wheelwright, is one of the very, very best guys who are out there when it comes to accountants. Now, he is the accountant for Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. This book was good. I think his other book on tax-free wealth was even better, just because this is more of a high-end investor, I found. But it's really good for a lot of different countries. He had looked at something like 20 different countries, all these different countries. It's really good. But this is why he always talks about the strategies that they have go all over the place, right? And they're valuable everywhere. I did hear Rich Dad Poor Dad before say that if McDonald's is in your country, then they're also using this real estate strategy. So I think you should be doing it. Anyway, we're going to be watching this Rich Dad Poor Dad show that was recommended to me. I think it's very important that we read about it. But these guys, between Robert Kiyosaki, Tom Wheelwright, the accountant, Robert Kiyosaki is the real estate guy, and Jason Hartman, who is a legend. He's taught me many things. Those three, I think they're all like killer. So let's jump into it. Let's see what these guys have to say.
Show the good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Hello and welcome to Rich Dad World. And we have a very special show today. We've got two great guests. One you've seen before, Tom Wheelwright, who is our tax strategist, our personal and business tax strategist and CPA. And one of the smartest guys when it comes to taxes, because he enjoys reading the tax code. It entertains him. It puts all of us to sleep, but it entertains him. And that's who you want on your team. So Tom's been part of our team for many, many, many years and a key player in the whole Rich Dad world. And Jason Hartman, and Jason is the CEO of Empowered Investor Network, and it is a real estate education and referral network.
If you guys don't know who Jason Hartman is, you need to stop what you're doing and go follow him on YouTube. The guy is amazing. Amazing. He knows his stuff.
And of course, Robert is here. And we are going to be talking about what we always talk about, the power of education, specifically real estate, but beyond that as well. Because today, as we all know, crazy, crazy times. We don't know what's coming tomorrow. So the more prepared, the more educated we can be, the better we are. So I'm going to stop talking at this point and let our esteemed panel take over. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Robert. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. And there is, especially today in this insane world, it is insane, that you better have more education, not less. And the worst thing to do is do nothing because you're confused. You make up your mind either way, either in or you're out. Well, what I mean by in or out, are you in education or are you out of it? And the reason for that is in every investment, there's the macro and the micro. You can't have macro without micro. We can't have micro without macro. The other reason you need more education, not less, either in or you're out, is because real estate is illiquid. And it's not like a stock or a bond or a mutual fund or a 401k. And this is deja vu all over again.
This is such an important point. I think that you got to understand what he said. He said that real estate is illiquid. Illiquid, meaning you can't sell it fast. The faster you can sell something, the more the price is going to go down. That's how it always happens. So when the price goes, remember, the stock market is open kind of like 8 hours a day, but crypto trades 24 hours a day. And that's why crypto is so wildly swinging, because you can trade it anytime you want. Stocks can only trade, kind of like a 9 to 5 or Monday to Friday. So you cannot trade anytime you want. So it doesn't move quite as much. Houses take a long time to sell, could be months. And so those things are some of the most illiquid that are out there, is what he's saying. And they don't take these sharp drops immediately, like overnight. It takes longer for that drop to happen. So we're seeing the obviously crypto market decimated, the stock market is decimated, but the housing market takes some time to really roll over. And we're seeing that with all the trigger rates that are going to be happening this fall and a whole bunch of other news. Q3 and 4 are going to be a wild ride. Let's get back to this guy. I love these guys.
2000 and 2008 all over again. And not to confuse people, but there's a thing called the repo market and reverse repo market. And those things are coming apart at the seams. Now, most people will say, oh, good, I'm going to stay out of real estate, when it's really the best time to get into real estate, but you better be educated. So we have a lot of stupid people in the market. That's bad news for stupid people, but good news for smart people. Because, in 2008, Kim and I made more money in 2008 as the market crashed.
So you guys, I'm going to keep saying a couple things left, right, and center here, okay? But the repo market is very important for you to understand. The repo market is the overnight lending rate between banks. How does it affect you? Well, back in 2019, even before the big health crisis happened, back then, the repo market almost collapsed overnight, tens of billions of dollars. And that's happening right now. The overnight banking lending is the glue that holds the banking system together. And that's having some big trouble. But he's saying there is still really good things happening in the market right now if you buy smart, because you got to be buying for cash flow. And when the markets dropped in 2007, 8, 9, he was buying tons of properties, because the prices were low and cash flow was high. So if you're focusing on the wrong thing, this is where you can get burned in a market like this. Sure, today is not the time to be buying New York, San Francisco, not a good time to be buying in Toronto or Montreal, unless you're buying 1 or 2 bedroom condos. But if you're chasing cash flow, it's a different market, and only look at landlord-friendly jurisdictions.
It crashed, and it gave the best real estate in the world went on sale. But the average person was saying, oh, I don't want to fix toilets. I said, because you're an idiot. I mean, Jesus, they're giving this stuff away. They were like Neiman Marcus put in, Gucci on sale, and all the idiots run away from it. But the reason we do this, and we do this with Rich Dad's World, is you need more education, not less, but also who do you take education from? The big reason why real estate is more crucial than stupid 401k investors is because real estate is illiquid. You buy it, you own it. If it's bad, you're going to go down with it. And if it's good, you look like the second coming of Jesus or something. You look like the genius. So right now, Kim and I look like geniuses, because in 2008, we had great advisors around us. We had great smart people. And we made frickin' fortunes on debt. In 2008, Kim and I borrowed $300 million. The average guy can't borrow $30,000. Yeah. But $300 million to buy real estate that was crashing seemed like nuts.
Which is why we have been stocking up things like gold and silver. We have been buying gold and silver, bricks of silver like this. We've been buying gold like this. Why? Because we're not going to be hanging on to it forever. We're waiting for the market to collapse, gold and silver to go up, and then buy properties at extremely discounted prices. We want to buy the homes that are on sale when they're pennies on the dollar.
But today we'll look like geniuses. And the same thing is about to happen. So I'll say it again. Either you decide to get more educated and get educated by smarter people, or get out. But this is not a time to be in or out. You got to know at least you're committed to education. And that's what Rich Dad's World stands for.
Robert Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Attend Robert's free virtual wealth building event. Claim your free access now.
Be there first thing in the morning. You'd be lined up. And yet that's what the government's offering. They're offering, if you invest the right way and you have the right advisors, they're saying, look, we'll give you a 30, 40% discount on your investments. And so even if it's a tough market, even if the prices seem high like they do now, the government's still giving you a 40% discount through tax incentives. So that's why the taxes play such a big part.
And the average person goes, wow.
I hope that you heard that. 30 to 40% off on your assets. So 30, 40% off doesn't mean much when you're going to buy a gallon of milk, but it means a hell of a lot when you're buying a house. And so that's why the number one expense in your life is taxes. So if you can happen to read the tax code or get good advisors and learn how to pay 0% tax legally, now you can have these massive discounts on these properties, massive amount of income in your life. Tom Wheelwright is like a god, man. The guy knows his stuff.
How come I'm paying 18% on my credit card? Because you're stupid. You're freaking stupid. You don't know good debt from bad debt. And it's people like you should listen to Dave Ramsey and live debt free. So welcome to the program for the first time, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Appreciate it, and Kim too. You know what you said is so true, and this is a scary time, but it's at the same time it's a time of opportunity, like you mentioned with what you and Kim did during the Great Recession, and Tom also mentioning that the government is essentially subsidizing real estate investors, not only through the tax code as he was referring to, but also through these government-sponsored entities like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that buy the vast majority of these mortgage loans, the debt, as you were talking about. And then it gets better because you rent the house out or the apartment building out, and your tenant pays that debt for you. And then you get a tax deduction. You're literally getting paid to borrow money. It's an incredible opportunity.
One more thing, just to be clear. Kim and I are investing more than ever before. Okay, so let me say this again. It's not real estate. You've got to be 10 times smarter today. There's more opportunities than ever before today, but you'd better have great advisors like Tom and our partner Kenny, and we just met Jason.
So did you see, it's not just real estate. It's about taxes. And it's about real estate. And even today, when the market is terrible, look at this guy. He's saying he's buying more than ever before because there are always deals. There's deals in up markets. There's deals in sideways markets. There's deals in low markets. So even today, you can still find deals that are out there if you're willing to look.
Another event. And you really got to choose your teachers wisely. So you've got to be smarter today.
And Robert,
right, Kim?
Yes, you do. And you mentioned, there's all these opportunities that are coming up. And I'd like to ask Jason, and you've got this great network, this empowered investor network. What are you seeing? Where are the opportunities that you're seeing specifically when it comes to real estate? And what trends should we be paying attention to?
Yeah, Kim, where we're seeing the opportunities are in these good, solid, linear markets, these cash flow oriented markets that aren't expensive, and they are business friendly and they are landlord friendly. So you don't have this type of environment where if you have to kick a tenant out because they're not upholding their contract, that you're looked at in the courtroom as the big evil landlord that may.
Oh my goodness. Like, this is exactly what I'm always saying, guys. You got to be living where you want to live, but you got to invest where you're not the criminal being a landlord, that the world isn't against you. So invest in landlord friendly places and that have some cash flow. I mean, that's what you got to be doing always. And this guy is awesome, man. I love both of these dudes. Tom Wheelwright, legend. So is Jason.
Have one house, right, that you're trying to use for your retirement. That's not a big evil landlord, okay? It's ridiculousness. So, in places like New York and California, people can squat in your property for just an amazing amounts of time if they know how to work the system. In Arizona, it's the opposite. In Texas, it's the opposite. In Florida, it's the opposite.
I'm sorry to just keep jumping in, but that's important for you to know, because in Canada, where we live, there's certain provinces where you can live for 2 years without making a payment to your tenant. 2 years to your landlord. you can live for free. In Ontario, where I live, it could be a year, 14 months by the time you can evict them for non-payment, or say they damaged your house or there was complaints or something. There are other areas in Canada where it'd be 1 week to get them out if they damaged your property or did something. US, like he's mentioning, in New York City, you can live for up to 3 years. There's people living 3 years without paying a penny to their landlord. But there's other places like he's mentioning down south in Texas and Arizona where you're out right away if you don't pay or if you've damaged the property. You need to pay attention to those things to make sure that you're not going to get wiped out.
Tennessee, even Georgia, these are more landlord friendly, more business friendly places. And these are the places with the growth. And they want their cost of living to be lower. And oddly, their quality of life is higher for less money. It's just a great deal, and many of them can work remotely. So, yeah.
And would you say, if you're talking about the places that are real estate friendly and tax friendly, and Tom as well, like you to chime in on this, you would want people to go to wherever they're investing, right? You want them to get there, to check it out, to learn about the markets, not just blindly turn their money over to somebody who says, oh, I got a great deal in Dallas. I got a great deal in Miami. You want people to go there and check it out and learn for themselves, correct? I see a lot of people that just want to throw their money into a deal somewhere.
Right. No, be careful with that. That's a good word of caution. Many of our clients go see the properties. Some buy them first and then go see them. I would say that the important thing is to do your due diligence. A lot of that can be done online now. There are so many tools, just starting with good old Google Maps and Street View and looking at the neighborhood, looking at the demographics. And we help people research all that stuff. And we recommend that.
All right. So that's a good point too. Listen, I was buying this property that I have, and I didn't actually see it, but I saw it on Google Earth. I saw the county assessors. Now, just sidebar on that, taxes are a big thing. Now we're talking personal taxes and real estate taxes. So when they're mentioning about Tennessee, Texas, Arizona, they're great because it's 0% taxes from the state or the province, like Alberta in Canada. You have no taxes there, but they still need money from somewhere. So generally in those areas, the real estate, the property taxes are way higher than what you would be estimating in a lot of the other places. Places like California, which are known for the highest income taxes, have like the lowest property taxes. So you really got to do your due diligence and put everything together. One of the houses that we bought, we had never even been inside. So we looked on Google Earth. We made sure that was good. We also found out that the average income of the area was $92,000, which is well above the area. We also found out that its primary income driver for that city was natural gas. If it's natural gas, fuel is getting pushed out because of environmental concerns. Natural gas is being brought in. That's a great thing. I went and found out about the airport. I found out about the hospital, 92 emergency beds. I want to know that stuff. I want to know how their university is doing and look at their demographic charts. Have you done that? Have you done your homework and researching the area? Because if you do, you can make a very informed decision, making sure that it's going to make you some good money in the future.
People invest in at least 3 markets, but not more than 5. Back in 2004, when I started investing nationwide, I made a huge mistake, and people can learn from my mistake. I was in 17 markets at one point. That was a mistake, right? That's going to the all-you-can-eat buffet and, binging too much, right? So 3 to 5 markets, and you'll be well diversified. Good linear markets, meaning these markets where they don't make the news. These are markets that are somewhat boring, really, but they're good investment markets. They're not sensational. They don't have big swings, big ups and downs, necessity-oriented housing that people need, housing that's in and around the $200,000 mark. I used to say, by the way, $120,000 mark, but prices have changed. And that's another reason to do what you and Robert recommend, which is using debt. And Tom, of course, spoke to the tax benefits of that. So
the other thing you can do,
there is a point I'd like to jump out at you: necessity homes. So basically entry-level homes. And that's why even if you live in Toronto and you want to invest in Toronto only, then you need entry-level units. That's where to invest. And so a lot of foreigners that buy here from like China and Saudi Arabia, they could come in here. They got the money to go buy a $10 million home, but they don't. They'd rather come down here and buy 15 one-bedroom units because necessity housing, entry-level properties are the ones that just continually chug along. Right now, we got a lot of markets in Toronto that are down 30 to 50%, but those 1 and 2 bedroom condos are not down very much. Sometimes only like 5% or none.
If you're looking at, okay, what market is going to be investor friendly, you can actually start. I start by looking at what do their taxes look like, right? I mean, it's not surprising or shocking that the high tax states are also the low business states. Right. They're also, the low investor states. You have the low tax states. Arizona just cut its tax rates in half. You've got Texas with almost a zero tax rate. You've got Georgia with low tax rates, Florida with a zero tax rate. So you've got these states, Nevada, Utah, all have low tax rates. Well, guess what? That tells you that that's a business-friendly environment. That tells you that they're trying to encourage people to come in instead of pushing people away, which is what the high tax states are doing.
Absolutely. What gets rewarded gets repeated. And, they're rewarding businesses. They're rewarding money. Money always goes where it's treated best. And that's what you want to follow, that trend. The places that treat money well are the places that you want to invest in. Yeah.
And anybody who supports higher taxes is a Marxist. And when I tell people we don't pay taxes, they think I'm a criminal. No, I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
You want to be a Marxist? Pay taxes, idiots. Yeah. I mean, give me a break. Marx was the guy that said, you want to kill capitalism? It's higher income taxes and inflation. And that's what they're doing.
Robert, that's part of the dialogue that's going on, right? Is that rich people cheat and that's why they don't pay taxes. Right. And when you get financially educated, what you learn is, no, rich people don't pay taxes because they're using their money in investments. They're putting their money into investments that the government wants to encourage, like.
If you guys could pay attention to the back, the right behind Tom Wheelwright, the guy on the top right, he has a book up there that says Tax-Free Wealth. I want you to go check out that book and buy it if you can. That book of Tax-Free Wealth gets into some of the nitty-gritty of how do rich people pay 0% in taxes. Paying taxes is a choice. Because if you learned the tax code, you can pay 0% taxes legally. The government wants you to do that. So you can become partners with the government and pay 0% in taxes if you so choose. So this is a really important point in how you can save yourself a lot of pain in the future.
Housing. Okay, for example, like energy, like agriculture, like business, that's where the government wants you to put your money. You put your money there, you pay no taxes. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Tesla and putting your money in technology, or Bezos, Amazon, who's putting their money into business, or if you're, Jason Hartman putting your money into real estate.
So again, did you just hear that? He is one of the country's very best tax guys, and he flies around the world teaching about tax, all of it. Okay, so what is he saying? The government incentivizes business owners to invest into the economy, but only in places that they want. So they need food, energy, housing, jobs. Almost all the tax credits are going to sit around that somewhere. Investing into some kind of energy, clean or oil. They've always subsidized in the past. Entry-level housing for people, not the big rich homes, but entry-level homes. Also having agriculture, getting food for your population, because they learned a long time ago, the government, it will cost them 10 times more to hire it out than to get the private sector to do it with just a little bit of incentive. So pay attention to that, because he has a book that he wrote here called The Win-Win Wealth Strategy on how the government will pay you to make those investments. I think everybody should read that, and the Tax-Free Wealth book that he has. Amazing stuff.
It's pretty much the same thing. The government wants you to put your money there, therefore you get tax breaks. And really, as long as you're building real assets and hard assets, you should never pay any taxes.
Lower taxes are good for capitalists. Lower interest rates are good for capitalists. Only idiots have credit card debt because they went to school. If you understand it that macro, then maybe you can smell the coffee and wake up and get some education. So we have Rich Dad's World. I love those guys because they promote the philosophy, the theory of capitalism, not Marxism. If you can get it that way, you'll understand. If you got to look at this picture from the macro point of view, wake up right now. So that's why Rich Dad's World, we're going to offer you more opportunities to get educated, have a coach. I have coaches. Kim and I have coaches. We have coaches for our health, our wealth, and our happiness, because health, wealth, and happiness are important to us. So we have coaches for that.
The elite, backed by the accreditation laws, have had access to all the early investment opportunities.
Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich
Mentor.
And I say this, the idiots out there are saving money. They want to save money. And frickin' Biden just printed another trillion-something dollars. And you're trying to save it? Are you nuts? Are you?
So those 2 points, he is going off a little bit on a tangent, but remember, back in 1913, they opened up the Federal Reserve in the U.S. Look at this coin here. It says silver certificate at the top. Made in 1928, $1 silver payable to the bearer on demand, right on the bottom there. So back in the day, 1 ounce of silver was worth $1. But today in the US, to go buy something like this might cost you like $27 or something like that. So what happened is they just printed 27 times more money. This never really changed. So, you can't be saving in dollars. You have to look at a big picture and where you want your life to go. So always be paying attention to, don't saving in dollars. But did you see what he was saying? You need coaches. You need coaches. I've had to hire so many, I can't even count them, and read a lot of books. You got to be in that type of stuff to be able to get this education.
Freaking nuts. Why are you saving money when they're printing it? Why are you working hard when they're raising taxes on you?
On top of that, Robert, so the only people who get taxed are the savers. They're the savers and the consumers. You're only taxed on what you save or consume. Anything that you invest back into hard assets, you get a deduction for, you don't pay tax on. So, I mean, it's so contrary with the whole message out there where you need to save, put it in the stock market. You don't get a deduction for putting money in the stock market because that's not a hard asset. That doesn't actually build real wealth. All that does is pump up Wall Street.
And that's why I was saying earlier that if there is any shortcut at all, it's to have a mentor or to have a coach.
So that's important. What Tom said. Tom said that you only pay taxes on what you consume and what you save. As soon as you invest that money, all of a sudden you get a tax deduction for it. You got to be improving the economy. Remember, you always get these tax breaks for providing housing, jobs, energy, and food. And that's almost every single country. That's the way it is. So you only get taxed on what you consume and what you save. So why do you save paper dollars in the bank account and pay taxes for that? The whole goal here is to get enough money that is making money. So that's why every earned dollar where you're exchanging your life for money should be used to be putting into some kind of something that is throwing off cash for you, either a business or properties or something like that, and live off what it throws out at you.
Because Tom, I'm not going to study the tax code. I'm not going to understand the trends that are coming in your world. And I don't want to, but you're in it every day and you're doing it every day. And you're a real true coach and mentor. Same with you, Jason. You're in real estate every single day. So you're a great person to mentor and coach other people, because we want to be coached and mentored by people that are doing the real thing.
But that's why you have coaches, like you say, is why would I want to do something myself that I could hire somebody else to do who's going to do it and teach me how to do it 10 times better than I could do it myself?
Or learn from somebody who's done it and learn from their mistakes and all their experience. That, again, a little bit of a shortcut if there is.
Here's the thing. You can't do it all. It's impossible for you to do it all. You need to have a property manager and a good realtor and a good lawyer, and you have to start building your team. You need a tax strategist and a bookkeeper. You have to have that team built up around you. There's no way that you will ever have the skills to beat any one of them one-on-one, let alone all of them. And that's where you kind of have to give up some control.
Ever such a thing as a shortcut.
So let me explain one more macro change that's coming in that's going to cause huge problems. Now, huge problems means huge opportunities. I'm afraid we're going into the biggest stock market crash in history. So that's why we have Andy Tanner and guys like John McGregor as our coaches, because you make more money when markets crash. It's counterintuitive. Like when the real estate market crashed in 2008, Kim and I went back in, but most people run. It's going to affect everything we do. And people are still sitting around saying, oh, real estate always goes up. Oh, my house went up in value. Oh, I'm going to save more money. Oh, I'm going back to college, get my master's degree, maybe become a doctor. Tom, who pays the highest taxes?
Doctors.
So Jason,
the first time I ever played the cash flow game, Kim and Robert, I got to tell you this, I was the doctor. That was my role the first time I ever played it, and I thought I would win because doctors make money, right? But they don't keep much of it. So, yeah.
so Jason, as a coach and mentor right now at this moment, what are the trends you see coming? What's coming down, and what should we be paying attention to?
We're just going to see, there's a lot of upward pressure on rents now, but I think we're going to see a lot more upward pressure on rents over the next 5 to 10 years. And I think we're going to see a decline in the standard of living for a lot of people, unfortunately.
For most people, they're going to get wiped out because they went to frickin' school and they listen to Marxists telling them that paying taxes is.
So this is not good news. This is bad news, and it hurts, right? If your wage never goes up, but the cost of every house goes up 50%, and the cost of food goes up 50%, the cost of fuel goes up 50%, people can't afford it. You're not going to be able to feed your kids, not going to be able to buy gas, not going to be able to buy food. So who is this going to hurt? This is going to hurt the whole middle class and the poor class. And that's the majority of people in a country. So when Jason is telling you the majority of people are going to have a massive decline in standard of living, you're not going to be able to have the things that you used to. You're not going to be able to go on vacations and buy the food you're used to and drive as much as you did. You're not going to have it. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. I think the exact same way. This happened in the last recession when I saw the housing prices went from 300,000 down to 30,000 down in Florida. In St. Petersburg, 300,000 down to 30. And at the same time, rents went from $1,000 up to $1,500. So that's what we're going to see, I think, again. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. I'm really worried about it.
Good. And you should get out of debt because debt is bad. But at Rich Dad, debt is good because it's tax-free. Right, Tom?
No, is it tax-free? But all those deductions you get from investing in hard assets, you're just compounding your tax benefits because you're using the bank's money. The bank doesn't get the deductions for depreciation or intangible drilling costs or anything else. They don't get any deductions. What they do is they give you the money, and you can use their money to get deductions against your income. So you're compounding not just your return on investment, but you're also compounding your tax benefit by borrowing. So I can't imagine going into real estate without borrowing because you lose so much of the tax benefit. Literally, you lose 80% of the tax benefit if you use your own money.
Did you hear that? Please write that down in your own self. Why on earth would you ever buy property without using debt? You'll lose 80% of your tax benefits if you don't use somebody else's money. Why would you be using your own money? Please pay attention to this, guys. This is so important. That's an amazing point.
As opposed to borrowing and using the bank's money.
So let me say it again. Anybody that tells you I'm a criminal because I don't pay taxes, they're probably a Marxist. Please understand that. That's why Rich Dad's World was created, to save your souls.
Robert, on top of that, this dialogue about the rich cheating, what's really happening is those people, the communists, the Marxists, these people who have a job, they're the ones who cheat because they don't have any other way to reduce their taxes. That's right. They are the cheaters. Here's what's great. So our beloved President Biden has actually put in this new law that the IRS is not supposed to go after those people. So they're basically saying the people who make under $500,000, we are not, if you cheat, it's okay. We're not going to go after you. We're going to go after the really rich. We're not going to go after you. So they're basically saying it's okay to cheat.
I don't mess with my freedom. And these guys are taking our freedom away by being stupid. And the way they get stupid people is they send them to school where they learn nothing about this. And those are the guys that call me a crook. I'm going, wait a minute, I'm not paying taxes. Remember what Hillary Clinton and Trump were on the debate in 2016? And Hillary said, yeah, Donald Trump doesn't pay taxes. He says, that means I'm smart. And the world went nuts. Well, Trump's an asshole. He doesn't pay taxes. I said, he is smart.
Well, one of the reasons the Rich Dad Company was formed is for freedom. We want people to be free, no doubt about it. And financial freedom is a big part of it.
We don't pay taxes, right, Tom?
No, the reality is, people say, well, you're being unpatriotic if you don't pay your taxes. I would say you're being unpatriotic if you cheat, but you're being unpatriotic also if you break any law.
That is such a big point to me, right? For me to take away is I have people that blast me because they're like saying, well, why are you trying to pay no taxes? We need the taxes. Please understand that it doesn't matter what government that you're in, where you are. This book is on where the government pays you to make those investments. Inside the book, he keeps talking about all these different countries. There'll be lists of all the countries that are giving those tax breaks nonstop. It's not about cheating on your taxes. Cheating is terrible. But if the government is begging you to do certain things and are willing to pay you to do them, if you do them and you get paid for it, you're following the government's direction. You're getting paid to do what they ask you to do. So that's what he's encouraging you to do. And you can do that. It works in Canada, works in the States, works all over Europe. That's what we are advisors and consultants for people about this stuff all the time.
The laws are there. The laws are there to protect our freedom, frankly. And so we want to follow the law. But the reality is that there's so many tax incentives that once you get financially educated, you're just an idiot if you cheat. Why would you ever cheat? You don't need to do that. You can legally reduce your taxes to zero. Why would you ever cheat on your taxes?
But doctors and lawyers have to cheat.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have much choice. Go ahead, Cam.
So one of the things that has come out of all this craziness over the last couple of years, and I'm personally curious for both Jason and Tom, because you've seen a lot of this, but commercial real estate is not coming back the way it was. It's not coming back. People are going to be working from home. You've got all this empty commercial space all over the country. What do you see people doing? If people can crack that code of what to do with commercial real estate, how to reuse it, how to repurpose it.
I just did a video about that at 69 Yonge. Oldest building around, man. It was the tallest building in the British Empire for a couple of years, around 1913 or something like that. They're converting it into condos. That's probably going to happen quite a bit, but it's really easy to convert hotels into condos, but it's very, very hard to convert commercial because you'll have entire floors with just a couple bathrooms. There's so many kitchens, so many bathrooms to put in there. So much trouble to do it, but we are seeing more and more of them going to be converted, but they're going to go after the low-hanging fruit first. That's what we're seeing in Toronto.
What are you two seeing?
Wait. So Kim, what you just brought up a very good point. You see, it's really the valuation of the asset class. Any comments on that, Tom?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that we're seeing, to your point, Cam, is we're actually seeing these hotels being converted into condominiums.
There you go.
They're being converted into apartment buildings. You're actually seeing a lot of conversion going on because smart money will always follow where's the real value. To your point, Robert, is that, if you've got something that's low valued, great, let's turn it into something high valued, right? And so you always have to be looking at then what'll happen with all these commercial buildings that are empty. Well, they're going to be used. They're not going to be torn down. They're going to be used for something. And if residential is where the value is, that's where they'll go. And the government, by the way, will give you tax benefits for doing that.
Yeah.
Jason, what are you seeing?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing the conversion of hotels to small apartments and I guess sometimes condos, but I see apartments more often. It'll be interesting to see what happens with office space because that's much harder to convert to housing, although a lot more housing is needed and a lot less office space is needed. And then, we look at the retail apocalypse that was going on long before COVID. That's just basically a Marxist, Jeff Bezos, who's just destroying all the mom and pop businesses. And, with retail, it just does not look good unless it's something like, auto parts stores or things that are still people do a lot of that in person. Any type of retail like that will probably survive okay. But, the online shopping has just destroyed most retail.
A lot of retail going to services.
Yeah.
Restaurants, various practices, but not so much retail at all.
Even our CPA firms around the country, we're seeing more and more CPA firms that are going completely virtual, or they're going to a much smaller footprint in their office space. So they might have been in 10,000 square feet, and now they're going to 5,000 square feet, or now they're going 20.
Now that's happening all over Toronto. Imagine I live near several of these big towers. I'm thinking of Salesforce. They want to get rid of their entire tower, save $5 million a year on rental. So save $5 million just by having other people live somewhere else. And their income is up 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. They're making more and more and more money. And now they can get another $5,000. Remember, it's all after the shareholders. The shareholders want to see more money coming in. And that's happening. Another fun thing that I've been seeing is these all not strip malls, these 2-level malls. They have escalators in them. They're turning them to old folks' homes. They have very wide spaces, nice walking inside. They have escalators to bring them upside. They have utility elevators to move beds up and down. So I thought that was an interesting way to turn that around. But I think we're going to see more and more of this type of stuff. Really interesting.
500 square feet, because you see a lot of the shared, somebody comes in and 3 people are sharing the same desk because they're only coming in once a week, something like that. So I think that the smaller, actually, that's another point, is I actually do think that the smaller office spaces are going to get bid up, because that's where they're going, right? If you're going to smaller spaces, then you want to be in smaller spaces, and that's what you want your building to look like.
Well, what Buckminster Fuller said, he said the future was that the big office buildings would be homeless shelters. So what Fuller predicted then was these office buildings would become homeless shelters, and they put some college student at the front gate with a little computer to monitor their needs. But let me just say this, there's more opportunity today than ever before, but you cannot say, well, it used to be that way. So Kim and I are investing in healthcare because as the baby boomers age and retire, that healthcare costs have got to come down. So the biggest employer in Arizona today is Banner Hospitals, 47,000 people. Wow. So Kim and I are going back and forth talking about, how do we invest in that?
Wow. They got some good points.
And to that point, Robert, what Banner is doing in Arizona, this is very fascinating, is they're buying up right now a lot of small like rehab places and small places, while they build this massive facility that will be health and fitness and all areas of health. They're building this massive project that's going to be 2 years. And in the meantime, they're buying up all these small medical businesses to keep that going. And then they're going to move everybody to these big facilities. So they're very, very focused, not just on medicine, but on healthcare overall.
And you're sitting there right now, well, my house is the best asset I own, then you're an idiot. If you say, well, I have a high paying job, I'm going to save money and put it in a 401k.
Yeah, well, so what he's saying, remember, we were learning before that you only get taxed on the money that you spend and the money that you earn. You don't get taxed on money that you invest, right? Because you get tax credits for that. So this is where financial education is very, very important. Also, their point, did you notice that big medical company, instead of just doing old folks' homes or something, now they're getting into all the healthcare. So they're buying up all these miniature shops that might do physio and eyeglasses or whatever. I mean, they already have the clients that are in these senior living facilities. So why not provide all these other services to these people that might be needing that? And that's what we call vertically integrating. So if you have a multiplex unit or a big unit and you rented it all out to a bunch of people, what about changing the rent structures? The rent is based on how many people live there. You got to pay your own power. Maybe you got to rent out your laundry. You can have pet rent. You can put solar panels on the roof, billboards on the side. You can start building up the amount of things that are cash flowing in one property. And that's what you got to do. Always be thinking about how to get one more stream into the same property.
You're an idiot.
And what's interesting about that, all of these people that aren't using the tax code properly, they're the ones who aren't obeying the government. You're doing what the government wants you to do, provide housing to people, explore for energy, etc. Right? That's what the government is asking people to do. And we're doing it.
At that point, that's why you need great coaches. That's why you need more education. And we could go on forever, but I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap it up here.
So let me go macro one more time. Kim and I are investing more than ever because Tom knows that. But we're investing in healthcare. We're investing in food, shelter, transportation, communication, energy, and security.
That's a long list.
But to sit there and think, oh, well, real estate always goes up in price. That's how stupid most of these people who used to be rich will no longer be rich. So that's why Rich Dad World was created. And you can trust me, I will tell you the way I see it. I don't have anything to hide. I'm not selling anything.
So I like that, right? Though he's investing in food and energy and housing, and I don't remember what else, but food, energy, housing, always amazing.
I don't have a 401k for you. I don't have an IRA. I don't like the stock market, but I do invest. There's a very big difference, but that takes education.
I love your point, Kim, that, we all have mentors. You guys are my mentors. I learned from other mentors in real estate, in oil and gas, in the macro. Robert's constantly teaching us about the macro world, and we watch videos and have discussions every week about the macro. So this whole idea of just getting better educated from people who know stuff we don't know. To think you know it all or to think you can do it yourself, I think that's a fool's errand. Instead, what we've got to do, like you suggest, Kim, is let's go to the coaches, let's get the financial education. And like Robert, like you're saying, let's make sure that we're looking at the global impact, because by the way, even taxes have a global impact. You can look at taxes from a global basis. I was talking to an accountant in Great Britain just this morning, and we were comparing notes. And guess what? The taxes in Great Britain are the same as they are in the U.S. And that's a more socialist country than the U.S. even. So just know that the taxes are always the same. They're always going to provide incentives. And as long as we get the education, we're not going to have to pay taxes, and we can do so legally.
Yep. Pay zero taxes.
Thanks, Tom.
It's education is certainly important. Just, so much of it is accessible through Rich Dad, and it's just a great time in that sense that this education, the real world education, is so accessible to people. So take advantage of that. Real estate or income property, I should say, specifically income producing real estate, is the most historically proven asset class in the entire world. In many markets, it's still quite cheap, but in some markets, it is definitely getting overpriced, and there will be a correction. So be careful, and education is key, but take action and don't be overconsumed by the idea of trying to time the market. The market timers rarely succeed over the long run.
Oh my goodness, that's so important. Did you see, there has never been anybody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett, that can always buy at the bottom and sell at the top. You can't time the market. So this is where you always have to be going into it on a regular basis, putting money into it. Now, I do suggest that you buy some gold and silver and Bitcoin and Ethereum, have an emergency fund and a contingency fund, an opportunity fund. But how do we build everything is slowly, bit by bit by bit. Same as with real estate. So when the markets are going up, you're still buying. When the markets are going down, you're still buying. But it's what you're buying. That's the important part. These guys dropped a lot of good nuggets.
Because it's just very hard to time markets perfectly. But you know, good properties, good markets, with good debt structures, and good tax benefits, you're going to win the game. So happy investing, and thanks for having me.
One of the things I've heard is that, you know, there are tons of opportunities out there, but the education is more important than ever, because the opportunities that are existing today were not the opportunities from 10 years ago.
Yep.
So if you think you're going to operate on what worked 10 years ago, you're going to probably end up in a world of hurt. So education, coaching, mentoring is more important today than ever to keep up with the trends and keep up with where those opportunities are. So thank you, everybody.
Well, that was pretty good. All right, guys, my closing thoughts. These guys are legends. Okay. All of them. If you can get to see any of them live or watch some of their shows, they're amazing. But there's a lot of big takeaways from all of that. One thing I was talking to my wife about before, you know, my dad gave me suggestions when I was 16, when I was 25. He gave me all of these ideas, and they were great ideas then, but they're not great ideas now. The taxes, the world, all kinds of things are changing all the time. So where you get your advice from is really going to matter. You need up to the date, up to the right now, what is happening in the new tax codes in the new world. And you always have to be upgrading yourself. If you think you know everything, beware, because you might fall. And so that's why I'm always telling you, please continue to read books every single week. Upgrade your skills. It's the only way that you're going to out earn inflation. That's how you have to do it. And if inflation is going to bite you, you can save a lot of money. I really liked his comment, Tom, that said that you only get taxed based on the money you spend and save. So, you know, that is a really, really big takeaway. Do what the government is asking you to do. You cannot fight the government. Don't ever cheat on your taxes, but just do what they want to do. Tom's book always has, you know, how can you get paid by the government to make an investment, usually in food, energy, housing, and jobs. Anyway, you guys, I'm always here for your health, wealth, and happiness. Thank you for coming by and watching this this little show, this interview with me. A lot of their points, man, these guys know what they're talking about. And this is good in Canada, the States, Europe, Australia. It doesn't matter where you go. It's still valid. Anyway, as you know, I'm here for your health, wealth, and happiness. If you know anybody that this could help, just send it to one person. It would really help. If you like this stuff, leave a comment below. Let me know what you like about it. And if you don't like it, if you don't agree with it, I'd like to know what you don't agree with, because I want to learn as well. Maybe you know something. Maybe you could teach me something. Anyway, I'll be catching you in the next video. Thanks for coming by. Have a great night.